So the final piece of this little puzzle that I want to add in is the ability to check a to-do off, which we can do right now, but as soon as I refresh, it's lost. So I need to add in an event listener for each one of these checkboxes. Every time it changes or it's checked or unchecked, we want to then update our local storage to-do. So we want to update what we're storing so that next time the page loads, we have that new value. Is it checked or not checked? So then we'll have that new value, and then we can successfully check or uncheck depending on whether that to-do is checked or not. Okay, so why don't we start really simple? When we create our checkbox right here for each one of those, we set its type to be checkbox. We'll add an event listener in here. Checkbox.add event listener, and we want to listen for the change event. We'll add in our callback in here. And let's just console.log clicked or changed or something. All right, let's take a look. If I check one of these, that works. Does that work? When I make a new to-do, it's all looking good. That is working. Okay. All right, so the next thing we should do is not just print out clicked, but actually update the to-do object itself. Remember, each to-do looks like this. It's one of these things. They all have completed set to false, but I want to change that. Set it to true, or set it from true to false, the other way around. So I'm going to do to-do.completed equals whatever the checked attribute on our checkbox is. So the checkbox has a checked attribute set to true or false, whether it is checked or not. So that will do us a little bit of good. Just to show you here, I load the page, I'll check that first one. If we look at our to-dos in memory, it now has completed as true for that first one. I'll check the last one. And if we look at to-dos again, completed true for the last one. But as soon as I refresh the page, that goes away because I need to then call save to my local storage. I need to update local storage. So I could copy this code and just run it again here, or I could make a function, which I think I'll do, so I can reuse it, save to-dos. And I'm just going to do this inside of that. Local storage, that's set item, and set to-dos to be the JSON.stringified version of my to-dos array. So then here, I can call save to-dos, and down here, right after you update the individual to-do, I can then call save to-dos there. Let's see if that works for us. I'll check the first two, refresh the page. We won't see them checked here. That's our last piece. But if I look at my to-dos in memory, the array, completed as true on both of those. So the last piece of this puzzle is to change checkbox.checked when we're making our checkboxes. So for each one of these, right now, I'm never specifying whether the checkbox is checked or not, right? I make an empty checkbox. I set its type to be checkbox. It starts as an empty input. Then I say it's of input type checkbox. Then I'm simply going to say checkbox.checked equals to-do.completed. So this is true or false, coming from our to-do, which is coming from this array of to-dos right here. And that should do it. Let's verify. I'll refresh the page and look at that. The first two are checked. Every time I refresh, I'll check all of them, refresh the page. They're all checked. Uncheck the first three. They stay that way. I'm refreshing over and over, and it's all working. So that's kind of it. We could waste some time styling it. We could add in an H1 that just says to-dos. It's hideous. There's no debating that. You could add in some delete functionality if you wanted to, but I think this is good enough for now. So as far as the TypeScript goes, there's honestly not that many significant changes. We made an interface just to help us and so we can use those types. This would prevent us from messing up when we made a to-do. We know for sure, we're referencing text and completed. Like down here, I'm accessing completed. And let's say I forgot that and I thought it was called status. I'm now going to get an error. Or I thought it was called is done. I get an error. So it helps us in some of those situations. That's a simple one, just with a typo. And it just helps us conform to this structure. We set up a custom type, a very simple one. It's just an object that has two properties, one that's a string and one that's a Boolean. Additionally, we talked about type assertions, the non-null assertion operator, and that's pretty much it. I believe we have some simple type annotations. TypeScript knows about all this stuff, about the DOM, about JSON, about different events, because by default, it includes those in the lib, which if you remember all the way back to the very beginning of this section, we talked about it. Although in this case, we're actually manually including it. But if I had this commented out, the defaults would kick in and that still would work for us. Anyway, that is our to-do list. I'll clean this code up a tiny bit and add some comments so you can look at it. It is not a particularly amazing little application, but it's a good first step in the world of TypeScript.